ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tex Messages Resurrection. I'm the parasite of the show, Rick Tex. We're glad to have you here once again. It's Friday evening, December 7th, 2018. We're broadcasting out of Elk River, Minnesota, central Minnesota. Had a little bit of a warm-up lately. The sun came out, but when the sky is clear, then a lot of the hot air comes out too, which is apparently the whole idea behind global warming, that carbon dioxide acts as some type of insulated barrier, and then when the hot air accumulates and it tries to escape Earth, it's not able to because of the carbon dioxide. But at the same hand, maybe you could say the carbon dioxide is blocking the sun in the first place, so then it's causing global cooling. But either way you look at it, science says this, so apparently it's a good idea to follow along. Like back in the 40s and 50s, what was it, like 3 out of 4 scientists recommended smoking, or thought smoking was good. So yeah, automatically that would make it good then, and something that would make you great again. See, the thing with our show, ladies and gentlemen, is, you can read a lot of news articles and reports and journals and peer study journals, but for the most part, by and large, I try to base it more off of personal experience and gut feel. Not so much gut feeling, but more so personal experience. And after 5 years of always writing down everything I've consumed, and not necessarily like emotional feelings, but certainly using a linearly progressive strength training program allows me to make a pretty accurate correlation with what I'm eating, how it's acting with my body, along with other ulterior occurrences and activities in a lifetime. And then, of course, there's different seasons too. And there's also different factors that play into things: sleep, relaxation, maybe new sponsorships. But by and large, for the most part, we try to read a lot of news articles and report on peer study journals and everything. But for the most part, it's just trying to utilize personal experience and use that as a measuring stick. Like, for example, you can say you could read all the news articles you want about avocados, how they're all healthy and stuff, and they're a superfood, and they're green, and this, that, and the other thing. But the fact is, if you eat them, and you get projectile diarrhea or vomiting from it, there's a pretty good chance it's probably not something you should be eating. Now, even though it flies in the face of all the news articles and journals and science journals, it's just based on personal experience. And everybody might be unique as well. Apparently there's some blood tests out there that determine what types of food you should be eating based on your hereditary or genetic upbringing. But there might be an element of truth to that. Or, you can take the LCAT test, which gives you your results for what foods you're intolerant to. You can take these allergy tests. You can take something that scratches your back, and then certain foods react with your skin cells or something, or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of resources out there. But by and large, it's mostly just self-experimentation. Now, a lot of times it's a little difficult though. Say, for example, you're trying to lose weight. So you could say, if I eat 3,000 calories this day and I don't seem to lose any weight in the next couple of weeks, maybe I try 2,800 calories and then see what the results are. As long as you maintain consistent activities. Now, if you're eating less calories, there seems to be a pretty good chance you'd have less energy. But at the same hand too, if you're burning fat that you already stored, then you probably would have the same amount of energy. But your body may kick and scream and send you false signals or mixed signals about removing fat it's already stored up. It's like a pack rat kind of. They like to accumulate things, and when they get rid of it, they get mad and kick and scream. But in the end, they know that it's probably for the better. That's not always the case though. Sometimes there are some things that are pretty cool to collect. I still got a couple hundred original Nintendo games. Not necessarily anything to be proud of, but it's just something that's kind of neat, I suppose. Even though you could all fit them onto a little tiny micro SD chip now, and probably then some. And then play them on an emulator or a computer, whatever the case may be. Computer screen with a controller and all that good fun stuff. But yeah, getting back to the main subjects here. So I found an interesting article that I read the other day. It's about glaucoma. 11 foods proven to lower glaucoma risk. That's Glaucoma is the second leading cause of blindness behind cataracts. So it's definitely, the eyesight is very important. Diabetic people, they're the ones who usually go blind later on in life. And then of course there are people that are born blind and people that become blind. And just about everybody needs glasses now to some capacity. A lot of that may be due to, you could maybe call it screen sickness or just staring at computer screens for too long and all that artificial light sort of messes with your mind or your brain and your eyes and the muscles that control your eyes and all the other nerve cells that also control your eyes. So reality is, changing societies, they exploit weaknesses in people and they make them more obvious and prevalent. And even people who normally have strong eyesight, I mean, if they stare at a computer all day, their eyesight may deteriorate over time. I mean, there's a few people that are in their 30s and 40s and they're just now starting to wear glasses. And you could say it's for a lot of causes, but more than likely it's probably just looking at computer screens too long. Most of the people that I know who are in their later years and don't have glasses, I mean, yeah, there are some people who probably never looked at a computer screen and they still require glasses. But most of the people I know who are older, don't have glasses, they don't really spend too much time on a computer just looking at screens in general or any artificial lighting or just things that would deteriorate their vision. I mean, for me, I needed glasses probably back in early high school. I can remember the days we were on the swim team, and there'd be people walking around in there, and I'd ask my friends on the swim team, like, oh, who's that? Is that a hot woman? They're like, no, actually that's a guy. So it's like, oh, okay, hey, thanks for getting my back on that one. So that's one of the downsides of bad eyesight or poor eyesight, and you can't really read chalkboards or marker boards either, or PowerPoint presentations. So learning in high school was a bit of a challenge in that regard. But vitamins A and C are linked to lower risk along with carotenoids. Kale and collard greens are number 1 and 2 on the list. Now that the homegrown, organic, and all that good fun stuff. Healthy soil, it's got a lot of good beneficial nutrients in the soil, not completely adulterated and just sprayed with pesticides and fungicides and all that goofy stuff. Oranges and peaches, again, those have a lot of vitamin C in them, the citrus fruits. And if you have scurvy too, it can definitely combat that. Wild caught salmon. Biggest difference between farm and wild caught salmon is that wild caught salmon has a far more diverse diet. It's eating fish that come from all over the place. And they might occasionally get eaten by a bear too, but then the bear will be healthy. See, the bear will likely prefer wild caught salmon over farm salmon. Because number 1, the bear would probably get shot if he went on a farm and tried to catch their salmon. But number 2, it's going to have a more diverse flavor. It's going to be healthier. He's going to feel great after eating it. So us as humans, now the wild caught salmon, yeah, it may have more of the mercury and goofy stuff like that, but see, either you can elect a slow death, or actually, either you elect a very low risk of a sudden death or the long, slow, agonizing, painful death by eating adulterated food that's void of any good nutrition. Green tea, cocoa, red wine, apparently they have flavonoids that have neuroprotective and antioxidant powers. For some reason, red wine and cocoa always come up in these studies that they're healthy because of this, that, and the other thing. But in reality, it's probably just some giant ruse that wants to get people to continue consuming wine and cocoa and making them think it's healthy and stuff like that. But by and large, dark chocolate does appear to have some type of beneficial flavors, but for me personally, according to the LCAT test, highly intolerant to it. And of course, eating it too doesn't seem to have favorable effects. So, everyone's a little different though. So, if you believe coca makes you great again, and it seems like a lot of studies back that up, so, it'd be difficult to refute that. Black currants, goji berries. Goji berries are a bit, seems like it's one of those, it seems like it's just come up lately. It's one of those, it's the hottest topic lately type berry, and You know, you got these people trying to sell goji water and weird stuff like, which is probably just sugar water. So every time I read something that says goji berries or red wine is supposed to be healthy and do good stuff for you, I'm always a bit skeptical of it. Now, yeah, they probably do, but in moderation, it's always a good idea to practice that. Finding goji berries is a little tough too. I mean, if you can't go to your local Big Joe Rosso discount food and find these types of foods, then it makes it a bit of a challenge. Lastly, eggplant. Now, you can grow eggplants pretty much anywhere in any climate. It takes them 3 to 4 months to grow. They turn into big purple balls, that long balls, elongated balls. Now, you want to pull them before they get light purple. So when they're a deep, dark purple, that's about the right time you want to pick them. They'll be nice and ripe. The inside will be not really brown, but more of a lightish, whitish green color. And you just slice them up and steam them and eat them, and you'll feel great again. And apparently you'll lower your risk of glaucoma. Eggplant is one of my more favorite plants to grow in the garden because they're very simple. You start the plant, you put it outside, you put it in the garden, and then the sun will shine and the rain will fall, and next thing you know, you'll have big, luscious eggplant berries. And they look kind of like a giant berry. Now, it is strange that they call them eggplant because they're not. They sort of are shaped like eggs, so maybe that's how they get their name, but their color is definitely not consistent with eggs. Now, yeah, eggs can come in all different colors: white, brown, black, blue, yellow, purple, gray, green. But eggplants are usually consistently purple. There's not too many eggs that are purple. You know, unless they get purple rain falling upon them. So one other article I wanted to share with you, ladies and gentlemen at home, is about the World Health Organization suggests a sugar tax. Now lately, it's more of a state thing, but related to cigarettes. They just keep adding onto the taxes of cigarettes. So eventually it prices out a lot of people, but the people who are really super addictive and neurotoxicized by it, they basically just kind of get screwed over. I mean, they're still going to buy a pack of cigarettes every week or whatever and smoke them. But there are some people who fall off the bandwagon once you start taxing things like alcohol and cigarettes, which is usually the first thing to get taxed if a county or a state wants to build a stadium. You know, of course, most of the time they just make some backdoor deals that nobody knows where the funding came from or where it's going. But World Health Organization suggests a sugar tax. They believe a 20% increase would curb consumption. Mexico actually enforced this policy back in 2014. They added a 6% tax on soda, which apparently increased the water demand. So people had a choice between buying soda with additional taxes or water with less taxes. So not most of them, but a greater percentage of them elected to buy the water based on that. So that was one of the studies that the World Health Organization cited for decreasing sugar consumption. I mean, for the most part, any decrease of sugar consumption is great, but it definitely has to start with adding it to foods. I mean, pretty much any food you can buy. Any kind of cereal is going to have sugar in it. There might be toasted wheat or mini wheat or something that doesn't, but it's very rare that you find cereal. And oats. Oatmeal doesn't have sugar in it, but it's extremely rare to find cereal without it. And a lot of just normal looking food like Nutella or a lot of versions of peanut butter, apple juice, apple cider, whatever. All that junk most of it has sugar added into it, just as a flavor, no other reason. It's not a preservative, it's not a health additive, it's just a preservative so that it can stay on the shelf. Or it's just not a preservative, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. It just adds to the addictive properties and the taste and the flavor of drinking or eating it. So I mean, that's really, it has no nutritional value, completely void of nutrients, and in fact it feeds cancer cells and does another deluge of dangerous effects too. And a lot of problems we have in our society today is that most sugar is packaged in colorful containers. Food that's by weight, mostly sugar, is packaged in colorful containers to, yield to children, to get their attention. So then, of course, parents find it very difficult to say no, so they let their kids buy the sugar, and then the kids eat the sugar, the next thing you know, all their teeth are falling out, and they're not good in school and all that, and don't really have many friends. So it's just an all-around very, very bad, horrible, terrible substance. And on average, apparently the average American consumes about 300 calories of sugar per day, which is just complete garbage. Your body is going to have to actually expend useful calories to get rid of the toxins that the sugars cause in your body. So if you eat 3,000 calories and 500 of it is sugar, your body is probably going to need, so you have about 2,500 calories that may be useful or may not be, depending on what you eat. I mean, if it's a bunch of trans fats and things like that, then even less than that is probably beneficial. But the body will have to expend extra calories to get rid of all the junk and the toxins, which is pretty much all the sugar and trans fats and everything too. So even if you eat 3,000 calories, if most of it is garbage, you might only have about 1,500 useful calories. And then since your body is spending all of its energy to get rid of the junk in your body, you're not going to have any energy. So rather than the body spending energy on you running around, climbing trees, jumping over cars, or putting together paint sprayers on an assembly line, you're just going to be sitting around all day and feeling tired and groggy and lightheaded and angry and mad and disappointed, because your body will be spending all of its time and resources on eliminating toxins in your body that you just put into it. So to think of learned immunity. I mean, you could eat cyanide, just slowly build up and ramp up your immunity to cyanide, but the reality is your body is going to expend an enormous amount of resources building up your immunity to cyanide. So if you don't really need to build up an immunity to cyanide, it doesn't really make much sense to build it up in the first place. So that's kind of the way the chemicals and the chemical compounds in our food and water is. I mean, yeah, we're building up immunity to it if we just ignore it. So people who consistently eat the bad chemicals in food and water, they're going to have a higher defense towards it. That's why people who switch to organic or to clean food or whatever, if they try to eat bad food suddenly, the health effects are just horrible and horrendous and instant too. But if you've gotten used to and accustomed to eating bad foods and you built up your immunities and your defenses, you're not going to feel the effects of it right away. But, I mean, that's just kind of the choice we all make. Our lifetime here is finite and goes by pretty quick. So if you want to eat a bunch of garbage food and build up immunities and, that more power to you, as long as you can still be a productive member of society. But yeah, everyone has slightly different varying circumstances and digestive systems and all that stuff too, and different demands in life as well. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the conclusion of the show. We're glad to have you here. My name is Rick Tex. We'll probably be back tomorrow and maybe the day after that. So thank you very much. I salute you.